Hi, welcome back. Our previous lesson was on other types of indifference curves. Today we'll be moving on to utility theory, which is assigning numbers to these indifference curves. We're going to start with total utility. So the total satisfaction that a consumer gets from consuming a good is called the total utility. Now, typically, we do not need to assign numericals value to the level of satisfaction. All we need is the information on which bundle is preferred. Nevertheless, it is sometimes convenient to attach numerical scores to each bundle, especially when dealing with problems in which the consumer makes a choice involving a lot of goods. Now, since numbers are easy to interpret and rank, attaching numerical values to the level of satisfaction is sometimes useful. So the numerical score associated with each commodity bundle is called the total utility. And the formula showing the total utility associated with each bundle is called the utility function. Let's assume a consumer called Ava who consumes good X1 and X2 and X3 and X4 all the way to Xn. This can be represented by a utility function U, which is a function of X1, X2, X3 all the way to Xn. Now, this utility function tells us the amount of utility Ava gets from consuming various quantities of each good. Now, sometimes a bundle's utility score is called its number of utils. So in these lessons, when we want to attach units to the utility that a consumer gets, we are going to use utils. Now, let's look at a specific example. In the case of two good X and good Y. Now, suppose Ava's utility for X and good Y is represented by this utility function here, which is X and Y. Now, what this simply is telling us that the total utility that Ava gets from the consumption of these goods is a function of the quantity of X that she consumes and the quantity of Y that she consumes. And we are simply representing Ava's utility function as X times Y. Now, let's start with bundle A, which has 2 units of good X and 5 units of good Y. If we want to calculate the utility that Ava gets from this consumption, then we have utility of X and Y being equal to 2 units of good X multiplied by 5 units of good Y. Now remember that it is 2 times 5 because our utility function is X times Y. If our utility function were X plus Y, then this utility will be 2 plus 5. So different utility functions will arrive at different utilities. So let's continue with an example with this utility function. So with the first bundle A, the total utility that Ava gets is equal to 10 utils. And then for bundle B, which is on the same indifference curve, it has 10 units of good X and 1 unit of good Y. So the utility that Ava gets from consuming bundle B is 1 unit of good X multiplied by 1 unit of good Y, which is also 10 utils. Now you can see that bundle A and bundle B both give the utility of 10. That is why both of them are on the same indifference scale. So this goes back to what we've been talking about in our previous lessons. The bundles that give the consumer the same level of satisfaction or the same level of utility are represented on the same indifference scale. Now consider bundle C, which consists of 12 units of good X and 1 unit of good Y. If you were to calculate the utility that we get from the consumption of bundle C, we are going to have 12 times 1, which is 12 utils. You can immediately see that 12 is bigger than 10. So C gives the consumer a higher level of satisfaction as compared to A and B. Now, since C gives Ava a higher level of utility, it lies on a higher indifference curve. So if we come back to this indifference curves, you'll see that bundle C lies on indifference curve U2, which gives the consumer a utility of 12, and hence the indifference curve U2 is preferred to the indifference curve U1. So because 12 is bigger than 10, it is easy to see that bundle C is preferred to bundles A and B. So what we see here is that bundles that give the same utility lie on the same indifference curves, and bundles that give higher utility lie on higher indifference curve, and bundles that give lower utility lie on lower indifference curve. Now let's move on to ordinal versus cardinal utility. Now, when we rank bundles without attaching numerical values to them, this is considered as ordinal utility. So, ordinal utility is represented by an ordinal utility function. An example is Ava might rank bundles in order of preference, such that we have C being preferred to A. This relationship simply means that she prefers bundle C to bundle A. Now, though she hasn't attached numbers to the level of satisfaction she receives from consuming each bundle, she's able to tell us that she gets more satisfaction from consuming bundle C than when she consumes bundle A. Now, on the other hand, when we rank bundles by attaching numerical values to the level of utility, it's no longer called ordinal, it's now called cardinal utility. So cardinal utility is represented by cardinal utility function. An example is what we saw a few minutes ago. So in the example that we did in the introduction of this lesson, we see that bundle C gives a utility of 12 utils, and bundle A and bundle B, they give a utility of 10 utils. Now we have attached numbers, which is 12 and 10, to the level of utility that Ava receives. Now, in this case, it's easy to see that bundle C will be preferred to bundles A and B. Now, we need to be very careful when assigning numerical values to the level of satisfaction. We are not trying to measure satisfaction in the strict sense. Attaching values helps us to just rank bundles and not to measure satisfaction. In other words, the numbers tell us which bundle is preferred. For instance, C is preferred to A and C is preferred to B, and A and B give the same level of satisfaction. So we are interested in which bundle is preferred, but we are not really interested by how much. Now, what do we mean by this? If we consider a bundle D, that gives a utility of 10 utils, and we consider a bundle E that gives a utility of 20 utils, we cannot say bundle E is twice as good as bundle D because it gives double utility. We are only interested in the rank, which says the number is simply telling us that E is preferred to D and not really by how much. So this is all that I have on our lesson on utility theory. Our next lesson will be on budget constraint. If you enjoyed today's lesson, consider subscribing. Thank you.